Hello there, good people of the world. Welcome to another Flight Sim Safari video. This is the GA-8 Airvan from Gibbs Aero in a version created by SimWorks Studios specifically for Flight Simulator 2024. We're going to take a closer look at this add-on. Also, after watching this video, mind the comments section below because I'll add remarks or corrections there in case I forgot something in the video or got stuff wrong. Bear in mind, this is the first version of the Airvan for 2024, which was put onto the market just a short while ago. SimWorks Studios is known for constantly updating and refining their add-ons, so bugs or inconsistencies usually are resolved after a short while. Let's begin with a bit of history and general information about the plane. Every legendary bush plane has some kind of why behind its creation. For the GA-8 Airvan, that why was found in Latrobe Valley. In the early 90s, the founders of Gippsland Aeronautics, George Morgan and Peter Furlong, thought that the market for rugged bush planes had a glaring gap. The operators of flight services were forced to choose between the 6-seat Cessna 206, which was often too small, and the massive, expensive turboprop Cessna Grand Caravan. There was nothing in the middle, with reasonable operating costs or suitable for hardcore bush operations. So the Airvan was designed to be that missing link, a piston-powered workhorse that could carry 8 people or haul serious cargo, but without the multi-million-dollar price tag of a turbine. The Airvan's design philosophy is utility, simple and pure. The boxy rectangular fuselage isn't supposed to win beauty contests, but to maximize internal volume. There is also a flat door for easy loading and a massive sliding rear door that can be opened during flight, which is great for skydiving or humanitarian drops. Unlike older bush planes, the Airvan was built to modern safety standards. It's got energy-absorbing seats and a robust stressed skin construction. If you're interested in what stressed skin means, I'm going to put a link in the description below to a nice video which is going to explain this. The SimWorks model is the standard GA-8. It's powered by a naturally aspirated 6-cylinder Lycoming 540 engine, which was also used in Cessnas like the 182, the 206, or 210. The engine in the Airvan has around 300 horsepower. The standard GA-8 cruises at around 120 to 130 knots. Although it's not advertised as such, the Airvan is a bit of a STOL champ, which means short takeoff and landing. If you push it hard, it'll lift off after around 1,000 feet at sea level. But its true strength is the payload to cost ratio. It can carry nearly its own weight and useful load while being very cheap to operate. The Kodiak, while it's only slightly bigger, costs between $600 and $800 per flight hour. The Cessna Grand Caravan is even more expensive. The Airvan, on the other hand, costs only around $200 per hour. So, long story short, the Airvan was built to be a flying delivery van. Simple to fly, simple to fix, and tough enough to work out of remote dirt strips. So now that you know a little about the story of the real plane, let's take a look at what SimWorks Studios did with it in Flight Simulator 2024. First of all, there are 2 ways to get the add-on. Either from the SimWorks Studios website, which is the cheaper option for some 28 euros, and I'm going to put a link in the description below. Or you can purchase the add-on from the Microsoft Marketplace for a little over 30 euros. Keep in mind that only if you get it from the Marketplace, you'll have, as far as I know, full support for the career mode in Flight Simulator. Since I've never been interested in the career mode, I'll skip this topic. Owners of the Airvan for Flight Simulator 2020, which is the older version, are going to get the FS 2024 version for free, which I think is awesome. Currently, there only seems to be the basic variant of the Airvan for 2024. The 2020 version had an additional payware expansion called System Pulse, which will make wear and tear persist over time, also adding another layer of realism when it comes to failures. But System Pulse is not being listed in the FS 2024 category on the SimWorks Studios website, so I suppose it's not available for the newer sim yet. Despite the lack of System Pulse, there are quite a number of really cool things to discover and explore. So let's take an actual look at the plane inside the sim. As you can see, we're here in the configuration window, where we can take a look at all the different variants that are available for the Airvan. One of them is the skydive cargo pod version, a commuter, a cargo only, skydive only, cargo pod, all kinds of combinations. As you can see, if you remove the cargo pod, then you will not have it on the plane. I'm going to pick the cargo and cargo pod version for the trial here. Let's take a look at the liveries. Green and gold is the default. Safari wings, Vortex, whatever this is, and I think I'm going to take the Safari wings version and save and go back. And then we're going to take a look at the plane at the home airport of it. This here is Latrobe Valley. This is an airfield, an airport in southern Australia, Victoria, I believe. And this is the birthplace of the Airvan. This is where Gibbs Aero is located, and these guys they have designed and are manufacturing the plane at this very place here, I think. So I guess these buildings belong to the manufacturing process, planned, whatever. And it kind of makes sense to test the plane at this place, I think. We're going to take real weather and real time. So it's 8 in the morning, 8 o'clock in Australia right now. And there we go. It's actually not a very big plane. It's quite a bit bigger, of course, than a Cessna, like a 172 or something. But it's compared to my favorite plane, which is the Kodiak, it's rather small. And but it was, as I mentioned earlier, it was created for bush flying scenarios, local commuter and remote unimproved strips. So this is basically this is the kind of plane that I really love to fly. It's not going to be my go-to plane for one simple reason. It's got a piston engine and it's not very powerful. I love to fly in places that are high, that have high altitude, high elevation. And for that kind of scenario, the Kodiak is better suited because it's got a turboprop engine with lots of horsepower. And this thing doesn't even have a turbocharger. Obviously, as I think I mentioned it earlier, but there is a turbocharged variant of the Airvan on the market, or you can order one, but it's not being simulated in the flight simulator. So let's take a look at it from the outside. I actually turned off the pre-flight checks. The only few things that you need to do is remove the chocks and remove the engine covers and the pitot heat, and that's about it. So there's nothing special you need to do this with almost any 2024 native plane. What's really nice about the Airvan, first of all, is that it's got this utilitarian, I don't know how to pronounce this, a utilitarian kind of shape. It's a boxy. It's not very elegant. It's a boxy shape, a boxy fuselage to maximize the amount of cargo and passengers that you can put it in there, while still trying to keep the plane as small as possible, small and light. what is awesome as a passenger, simply gonna open up the cargo compartment here. What I love as a passenger is the fact that these windows are huge, and you can look through them. And if you take a look at them from the side, we're going to switch over to the other side. You can see that they're kind of they're bulging out to the outside. So if you're actually going to be able to take a look at the ground from the plane. The textures are also very nice, the nuts and bolts and all that. And if you look at the textures from the side, you can see that they're simulating an uneven surface, which looks very realistic. I love that detail. And if you look at the reflections here, you're going to be able to see these the unevenness even better. Looking here at the Safari Wings reflection, so they put in a lot of effort into creating the textures. And I love this little logo here, SimWorks Studios logo, the Airvan. So these guys really put in a lot of effort. You can open up the side compartments here, the cargo box down below. And what's nice is that if you open this up and you go ahead and add some cargo, let's do that real quick. Load immediately. You're going to see that these compartments fill up. So you can actually see that the plane has been loaded with some proper amounts of cargo. What's also awesome is just take a look at the suspension and the tires, right? If I remove the cargo, there we go. Okay, so I have removed the cargo again. And what else? Is there anything else that might be interesting on the outside? No, not really. This is something that you can explore yourself, but I think they put in a lot of effort into creating this model, and it looks awesome. It really does. So let's get inside the plane and take a look at the cockpit. First of all, I want to point your attention to this here. I mean, this is probably one of the coolest general aviation aircraft cockpits that I've seen. What I really love is the fact that the Garmin systems are being tilted towards the pilot. They put in an angle here. It kind of reminds me of old BMWs. One other thing about the interior is that you have a fixed tablet. I'm not sure if you can actually remove it. I didn't find a way to do this, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't disturb me, but it's there. So you can also adjust the amount of fuel of the plane here and also the payload. There's one little issue that I found with the passenger version of the plane. When you put in passengers here on the different seats, the passengers would not actually show up in the plane. I think this is a little bug. If you actually if you go into the electronic flight book and then add the passengers here using the cargo tool, and then you load the passengers into the aircraft, then they're going to show up in the plane. You have different cargo items that you can actually choose from, which is pretty cool. Let's reset the stuff. You're gonna have to click apply if you add some boxes here, for example, right? And then these boxes are going to show up here in the back. Okay, and let's put in some drums, and that's it. We're going to fill her up entirely. We want to simulate a plane that is that has a bit of payload in it. Oh, we're beyond the limit. Okay, we're going to have to remove some boxes here. Still too heavy. Apply. Still too heavy. Apply. Apply. There we go. Now we're good. Okay, let's go back to the home tab. So this is where you can actually adjust the fuel and payload. There's also the flight book. You get the flight bag. You get a bit of a manual here for the plane. I don't really mind that. I'm not going to use it in any capacity, but you still have it. There's the checklist as well. I'm not going to use this kind of checklist because I usually have an abbreviated checklist printed on a sheet of paper. So this is not for me, but maybe some people might find it useful. And there are a couple of other settings. First of all, you can dynamically choose between different garment systems. The default is I think the working title 530, 550 combination, something like this. I am using the PMS 50 system. So as you can see, this is the default setup, but if I click on the PMS system, it's going to exchange the entire stack here and put in the PMS, which is awesome. Let's get back to home. No, that's it. The settings, the failure and weathering, the plane is going to accumulate dirt after a while. You can actually even accelerate the rate. You can up the rate of how quickly the plane is going to get dirty. If in doubt, you can wash your aircraft and then it's going to remove the dirt. And there are other settings like pre-flight, as I mentioned earlier. If you enable this one here, you will need to remove the covers from the engine and pitot and so forth. I disable it because I don't like this kind of nonsense. I mean, we're talking about simulator. I don't need that pre-flight. It's not going to make my experience any better. You can hide the pilot. You can hide the co-pilot. There is an autopilot option if you want one. I'm not sure if the original plane doesn't have one, but obviously you can activate it, and you can make the cargo visible. So that's the setup settings, right? Okay, next step would be, let's talk about how to actually fly the plane. First of all, let's turn it on. I have many of the things that I use inside planes I have mapped onto my Alpha yoke and Bravo throttle quadrant, but I'm going to try to make it as visible as possible. First of all, let's turn on the avionics masters here. Bus 1, bus 2, avionics on. They're both on, right? Okay. And also let's turn on the fuel pump. And then prop full forward, mixture full. And then let's just turn the ignition key here to both and hit start. Well, let's see if this thing is going to start up. Yes, it is. Right. This looks good. Now we can turn off the fuel pump again. And I'm going to make sure that you guys can actually hear the engine sound. I'm going to turn up the volume from the engine and do a bit of revving, right? Okay, so I think I mentioned let me tell you about the engine. I think I mentioned that this is a Lycoming engine, which was also used in a couple of different Cessna variants. One of the add-on planes that I have is the Cessna 182 RG2, the retractable gear variant from Coronado. The engine sounds vastly different in the Coronado, but it's supposed to be the same engine. Literally, it's the same engine with with about the same amount of horsepower, and the engine here in the Airvan actually sounds like a 4-cylinder engine. I'm not sure what's happening here. I'm pretty sure that SimWorks Studios put in a lot of effort. They told people that they recorded all of the sounds of the airplane, from the switches to the door shutting to the actual engine. So I would say that they're probably aware of the fact that this doesn't sound like a massive engine, which it isn't, but we'll see in the coming days and weeks. Maybe they're gonna add some updates, I don't know, but the engine doesn't really sound like a 6-cylinder engine to me. It sounds like a 152 or something. Anyway, let's take a quick look. The flaps are down here. It's a lever which only has 2 detents. I'm gonna lower the flaps entirely. This is detent number 2. As you can see, there are 2 settings: 38 degrees and 14 degrees. 14 is for takeoff, 38 for landing. Trims for the elevator trim. As you can see, this is the elevator trim wheel. There's also a trim indicator here. Position of the trim, we're going to leave it at in the middle for now. Yeah, and that's basically it. The Garmin system is a known capacity. Nothing special about it. If you're using the TDS system, that might look a little bit different. I don't really know. But everything else checks out, is easy to understand. The cockpit layout is awesome. It's a pilot's plane, really. And of course, you can click all kinds of things here. Even you can adjust the lights and bend the light up and down and left to right. The air vents, every single one of them, you can move them around, and I think you can also switch on lighting. This is the map light, the dimmer, and all that kind of stuff. You can explore this by yourself if you feel like it. But as usual, the SimWorks Studio guys put in a lot of details and clickable elements. So it's pretty much, in that regard, it's pretty much like the Kodiak, an awesome product. Okay, release the parking brakes. This is the parking brakes lever, and then go ahead and find us some runway to take off from. So we're almost fully loaded. The Airvan behaves rather docile on the ground. I'm using pedals here, Thrustmaster pedals, as you can see. This is what they look like. Toe brakes are working nicely. The moving parts are moving, of course. The elevator, the aileron. This is all looking very good. Let's see, there's nobody coming in or going out, which is nice. Lower the flaps to the first detent, which is 14 degrees, I think. Let's line up on the runway. Yep, 14 degrees. Okay, so push the throttles forward. And see how this thing behaves in the air. There's one thing that I can already tell you from the few hours that I put in flying this thing. That is, first of all, as you can see, the gear is not very comfortable. It's got a stiff suspension. It's rattling your ancestors if you're running this over a runway that is unimproved. It's not going to be pretty. So the second thing that I had the misfortune of finding out is the fact that the Airvan is very twitchy on the elevator. You're going to have to adjust your curve, your hardware, and put in some. I'm going to show you this real quick in the settings. In the controls, I have, as you guys probably know, I have the alpha yoke. And one thing that you're going to have to do is here on the y-axis, which is the elevator axis, you're going to have to remove some sensitivity. You're going to have to put in some curve, because otherwise the plane is just going to jump up and down, even if you make the slightest adjustments using the elevator, which is it's I'm not sure whether this is actually something that happens in the real plane as well. I would say that since the Airvan is a pretty short plane, it is I mean, it's a rather small airplane. It's also a very short plane, which means that the elevator is going to react more quickly or more significantly than it would react in something like a Great Caravan or even a Kodiak or any other bigger plane. But it's a little too twitchy for my taste. That is something where you might need to find the sweet spot between being able to properly adjust, to properly fly the plane, right? Because if it's too twitchy, as you can see, it jumps up and down, and then it's going to be difficult, for example, to do a proper landing, which is nice. Raise the flaps here. The plane is going to accelerate quite a bit, but it's not a Formula One car, and the Airvan does not really have a powerful engine. It's a 300 horsepower, a Lycoming engine, naturally aspirated, so no turbocharger. It's not going to be fast and it's not going to be powerful, but it's going to do the job. For example, in Australia, many parts of Australia are rather flat, so I would say in the outback it doesn't really matter if you have a whole lot of power, because you're not going to have to climb as much as, for example, in Papua New Guinea or even in the Alps or in the Himalayas, whatever. Considering the fact that this plane was developed in Australia for Australian landscape, it kind of makes sense. The Airvan is very cheap to operate. It's got enough power to move some serious cargo, but it's not going to do very well in high altitude scenarios. So let's go ahead and try some landing. Reduce the power. Lower the flaps to 14 degrees initially. Trim the nose up a little bit. I'll give you a look on the outside of the plane. There you go. I really do love these textures. It looks so awesome. The unevenness in these windows that are bulging out. It's really, they did a nice job here. They really did. Oopsie, oopsie. There's turbulence. Let's get back into the cockpit before I waste this plane. Where's the airfield? I lost it. I'm such a noob. There it is. There's the number. Okay, so let's try to land this thing properly. Okay. Let's put the bird down. Lower the flaps fully. And see how it behaves once we land. Your regular approach speed would be somewhere between 70, 80 knots, I guess. If you're very light, you can go slower. The stall speed is somewhere around, I'm not sure, somewhere at 50 something knots. But you can, of course, go overboard and fly this thing with 40 knots inside the sim if you want. This is what I'm talking about, the elevator pitch, the elevator twitchiness, actually. So reduce the, oh man, reduce the speed. Got a bit of turbulence here. A short final. And as soon as you start to pull properly to kind of try to deal with some turbulence, the plane is going to jump up and down, twitch heavily, which is a bit awkward. Okay. Could have been worse. Let's stop right here and do something else. One more thing that I wanted to show you is this: it's the capability of flying at very low speeds. So let's take off again. As you can see, it's not the fastest plane on the planet. We're at 40 now. The Kodiak would be at 60. Now we're at 60, 70, and it's coming off the ground. So it's not exactly a performance STOL aircraft, but they're not. Gibbs Aero is not advertising it as such, but there seem to be pilots out there who were boasting a little about the STOL performance of this thing. I believe if it's empty or it's only loaded lightly, then it's going to perform brilliantly. I think the minimum takeoff distance is somewhere at 600 something feet, but then it's going to have to be totally without any cargo. So now we're going to do some very slow flying and trying to stall this at some flaps. As you can see, there is 40 knots. Now we're beginning to lose altitude. Let's try to keep it at. This is what I'm talking about, the twitchiness of the elevator. We're gonna try to keep it. Oh man, now it's climbing. There's the stall horn. We're at 40 something knots. Now it's beginning to come down. Look at the vertical speed indicator. We're going to try to keep this thing at 0 feet per minute. And as you can see, it's difficult because of the twitchiness of the elevator. But this thing has a stall speed of somewhere in the sim, a stall speed of somewhere around 50 knots. So it behaves very docile. It's not going to fall from the sky immediately. So even if it's fully loaded, as it is right now, or mostly loaded, if you're using flaps, this thing is not going to come down easily. I forgot to turn down the volume of the engine, which was kind of silly. I hope the recording is usable. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do it from scratch, which I would hate. So, what's also great for the pilot is the overall visibility. You can just see about everything. Front, back, to the sides, everywhere. The visibility in this plane is really among the best that you can possibly get in a utility aircraft like this. Even the Kodiak isn't as good as this, although it is pretty good. But look at these huge windows. You can basically see everything that's going on around you. And this is really great for bush flying operations if you need to take a closer look at the airfields that you're going to land at. Inspect the quality of the airfield or a dirt strip, whatever. Make sure there's nobody on the strip, or animals or people or whatever. Yeah, there's turbulence, downdrafts at short final. There we go. One more. Full flaps. Currently at this very airfield, it's hard work to keep this thing in a stable position. Here we are. Pull the power. Put it down on the ground. Here we go. So that's it. That is kind of a first look at the Airvan. I'm not sure I'm going to buy this plane because it doesn't exactly fit the profile that I like to use inside the flight sim, which are turboprops, of course. But I think it's an awesome plane. I think they put in a lot of effort, and it shows. I mean, there are lots of really neat details. I didn't encounter major bugs really, apart from the thing with the passengers, the EFB and the tablet here. I think that I'm going to keep you updated if there's anything else coming up about this plane that is noteworthy, or if they add some more functionality to it. I'm going to give you a hint, maybe in a video or in a blog post, I don't know. But 2 thumbs up so far. I like this plane a whole lot. It does, as I said, it doesn't fit my profile. I'm not going to buy it. But I would suggest everybody who likes utility planes of this sort and does like to do bush flying and not fly too high in mountain regions, then this is going to be a perfect fit, because it really looks like and it feels like a properly simulated plane. So thanks for watching. As usual, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up or maybe subscribe to the channel, and I see you guys in the next one. Take good care of yourself. Bye.